here also. So ORS ID is different here, so I will just copy that.
Do we have to put any plugin, MDM plugin or something in Eclipse, or?
No, there is no need for any plugin.
Okay.
And
So
whatever some jars are required, all those jars are already there in this environment.
okay.
So you don't need to make anything. So we just need to change this properties file, Hyperion client.properties, where you need to update the ORS ID, username, password, and this URL. So URL, like you will be using 192.168.1.97, and other things will be same. So once this is changed, now like we can go to this one first file, which is get request. So this request basically is used to get a single record from the database. So like we had used the get request yesterday, where we have put the roid xref, roid object, cross-reference value, and the source system. So similarly, this is a Java program where we have given the name as like class name as like demo4 get generic API, and this is the Hyperion client which we need to initialize here, and then this is the public static void main where we are initializing the class, and then we are calling the run method. So in the run method, this is the run method which is being called. In the run method, it is initializing the properties file. So this is the way basically how we have to initialize the property file. So here we are passing properties folder, and then under properties folder, what is the name of the property file. So it will pull all the properties from there. Username, password, ORS ID, everything will be pulled from this file. And then we are using this method get cust to get the customer record. So this is the method get customer, where we are using two methods, get request and record key. So this is similar to what we have in the SOAP UI also. If we go to the SOAP UI, so let me open the SOAP UI also parallelly. So this is the request, SOAP UI request that we had fired yesterday. So on the top, the same things are there: username, password, ORS ID. And here we have the record key. So under the record key, we had put the details like what is my system name, what is the roid object, what is the PK source object, what is the roid etc. So same record key we are initializing in the Java also. So here also we have to use get request and get response. So this is the first is the get request which is initialized, and on the down there is a get response, because we need a response and I want to print that response here. And the second is the record key. So we need to initialize the record key here, and once you have initialized it, I have set record key dot set roid object. So I am passing here the roid object value. Similarly, you can pass other values also, like I have passed only one. In the SOAP UI, we had passed like other values as well. So we can just use this record key dot set. So you'll get these options: set like period, start date, end date, roid, roid xref, source name, and the PK source object. So all the options will be there what we have in the SOAP UI. So we can use any one of them. For example, like source key, we can put like C, whatever is the source system name. So like this we can set the values, and then in the request, after we have set the values in the record key, we have to set the values in the request. So in the request, now we are setting the record key. And then next is like in the request, we are initializing the package name. So this is the way basically request dot set Hyperion object UID. Siberian type dot package make UID, and this is my package name. So like in the SOAP UI, as we discussed, that we can pass the base object dot base object name or package dot package name. Through a Java program, we always use the package name. So this is how we will be initializing the package name. So after that, we have to use this try catch block for firing the request. So here, this is the response parameter that we have initialized. In the response, we are storing the values from the request. So whatever request we are sending, so this is the request that is going to the database. It will get processed and it will return the results in the response. So once we get the response, we are using an iterator. Iterator is basically like a collection which will hold all the values. So we are now using an iterator, and we are from the response we are getting all the records and storing that into the iterator. And then we are using a while loop to print the values. So as you know that there will be only one record, but still we are using iterator here. We might not use also because we know that only one record is we will get. So I can directly print the values here. So here I am getting again this first name. So this is the way like we have to use the names. Record dot get field, first name, so middle name, last name, whatever column values you need, you can get that value. So I'm taking the first name, middle name, and last name values and finally printing it here. So that's basically a get request and that we have to write. And once we have done it, you can, on the top there is a run button. You can execute that and it will print the values. So this is basically communicating to the MDM. Basically the Siberian client is using the JBoss server. So your JBoss server should be up. If the JBoss server is down, it will not work, because it is not directly making any connection to the database. This is basically interacting with the JBoss, which is the client server. And like as we discussed in the initial introduction side, that whenever we send a request, it goes to the MRM server, which is there in the clients or the application server, and it then the MRM server basically check the request and see like how many records are available, and based on that it processes the request. So the JBoss has to be up, then only this will work. So similarly, the other is like search query. So yesterday we had seen the search query. Search query is the one which returns more than one record based on the filter criteria. So yesterday we had used the wildcard search. So everything in the all the files, everything is same on the top. On the down only there are some changes. So like this is a search query which is used here. So for search query we have search query request and search query response, which we need to initialize here. So this is the search query request which is initialized, and on the down there is a search query response. Package name is same, like we have initialized the package name in the previous one. Similar way we have to initialize the package. And these options, search query request dot set filter criteria, set records to return. So these all options you can see from the SOAP UI also. In case like you want to know what are the methods which I can call here, that you can go to the Java file also and you can check. So you'll get all these like search query request API is there. There it will tell you like what are the parameters or methods it has. Or we can go back to the SOAP UI also, and here you can go to the search request. So this is the search query that we had run yesterday, and in this we have records to return, return total, filter criteria. So these are the options at which we see here, and the same options are available here also. So same thing, like you can just use the request parameter, request dot, if you get dot set, you will get all these lot of options here. So there are more options in the SOAP UI, like some of the options are exposed which are required, but in the Java you can see all the options which are there. The other, like, lot of options are there here. So whatever is required, we can set that up. And then we can just put like first name like F percentage, because we have names starting with F percentage. So I'm just using that, and again using an iterator to get all the response and storing it in that, and using a while loop to process the data. So once we do that, we see that 2 records are there. So yesterday when we ran the search query, we had got 2 records. So that's basically this search query. Similarly, we have merge and unmerge, which are the next ones. So merge and unmerge is, again here we have everything same on the top. Just this is the different here. When you are merging the records, you can specify what is my source, what is my target. So whichever record row ID object you want to win, you can set up here that I want like 2 to be win, and I want 1 to be merged into second record. So using this program, you can merge the records. Same thing we can do from the SOAP UI also. We can merge the record, or we can unmerge the record. Similarly, the next one is for the unmerge. So in the unmerge, we have, this is the main one where we have to specify the source system name and the key source object of the record that we want to unmerge. So once we give that, it will unmerge that particular record and it will be put into the base object level. So same things like we were able to do from the merge manager and the data manager, and even from the IDD we had done merge and unmerge. Same thing we can do from here Java side also. But here we have more control, where we can specify that I want to merge particular record into some record, like I want to merge 1 into second. So that can be specified explicitly. And then one more thing that we had not seen yesterday was, yesterday we had seen a put request. So put request is basically used, yesterday we see that we inserted one record and then updated the record. So put request is basically used for that purpose. Put request is used to insert or update the records. But there is one more option, which is cleanse put. So cleanse put basically uses your mapping. So this is the cleanse request file, and in this cleanse request, I am using Siberian object UID as a mapping name. So this, if I am using a mapping, means it will do all the cleansing activities. If you do a put, whatever you are inserting, that will get directly inserted into the base object level without any cleansing operations. But if you use a cleanse put operation, it will cleanse the data and then it will load that into your table level. So in this case, I am using this mapping name mcustomer2, which is there in my ORS, and then I am specifying the full name, first name, middle name, and then the date basically. So we can change here, just putting here 10. So this is the request. I am trying to insert a record from the CRM system, and I am using mapping as M customer 2. So if I go to the MDM, let me go to the MDM and show you this mapping. This is my mapping M customer 2, and here it's just a simple mapping, one-to-one mapping between the landing table and the staging table. Only thing is that there is an uppercase which is used here. So full name will be in uppercase and it will be loaded into the customer name column and also in the PK source object column. So that's the only cleansing activity that will happen. So we can execute this. So execution is same. We have to select this and click on the apply button. So it will give you this message like the cleanse put was processed successfully. So now we can go to the database and check it. And here I am just printing like the response. Here you can put the other things also. You can get the RYD object, RYD xref, other details also from here. So this is the record key you have. In the response, you will get a record key, and from the record key, you can see from the record key, you can get the RYD object, RYD xref, PK source object, system name. All these details you can get and you can print it here. That I have inserted a new record. I want to know what is the PK source object, RYD system, and RYD object, and the RYD xref for that. So from the response, you can print all these values. So this is the record which got inserted. So PK source object is the full name, so it is showing in capital letters. And similarly, if we go to the end, here also we can see the full name column. Full name is in uppercase, whereas last name and the first name is in lowercase letters. So if you want the cleansing to be applied, you will have to use a cleanse put. So that's the only difference between put and cleanse put is cleanse put will use a mapping, whereas put will directly insert the record into the base object level. So next is like the the put request. In the put request, we are again here initializing the put request, and then in the request we are setting the record key, that is the PK source object, and the source system, that what will be my PK source object and the source system name, and then the package initialization, what is the package name I want to use, and then setting all the columns, what is the column value that you want to populate, and all the values for that, and then we can execute this. So this will, whatever values we are giving here, only that value will get stored in the database without any check, because there is no cleansing which is getting applied on this. So that's basically a put request. And finally, this is a clean view. So this probably you might like to use clean table script. Like the clean table script, yesterday we had seen that it is used to truncate the tables, data from the table. So there basically you will have to run it one by one. Means whatever base objects are there, basically based on dependency, we have to delete all the child tables before we can go and delete the parent table data. So in this case, we have to do it one by one. So if you already know the dependency, what is the dependency between the tables, we can use this option. So here I can put this is the clean table request here. I am initializing that, and in the request I am setting the base object name. Here we can set the same thing. We can use a package name also like we had used, but if you don't want to use a package name, I can directly use the base object name also. And then the request dot set clean staging. If you want to clean the staging, you can say true, otherwise false. And truncate will always be true, it will truncate the tables. So you can just copy this and paste it, like I have done it 3 times for 3 different base objects. For this is the relationship table, which is a child table, and then the base object CB customer, and then the address. And then you can execute it. So this will clean all your tables. So let me check this table name. So currently my table name is CB customer 2 and CB address 2. The names are same only. And this is and the relationship table name is like serial cust address 2. So here we can specify, like I have specified that the relationship table name, then the 2 base objects and the address, and then we can execute them. So again, same way, you can go on the top and click on this execute. So here you can see all the 3 tables, the relationship table, customer table, and the address table. All of them has been cleaned. And at the end, it will give you this message: sequence rewinded for the particular base object. So if you want to do everything in one shot, you can use this Java program to truncate all the tables. So that's about these requests, the basic requests that we usually fire. And next we look into the user exit part. That there are 2 types of user exits. One is the hub user exit and one is the IDD user exit. So we'll look into the IDD user exit first. So basically, like there is a resource kit folder which will be there with the hub. So in the MDM installation directory, info MDM hub, basically 3 installation comes. One is for the server, one is for the clients. Those are the two main things. One more is there, which is the resource kit. So resource kit basically contains some samples and the APIs. So this is also there in the shared path. So in the resource kit, we have to go to like SDK and then Cyprian BDD, Java documents. So on the left hand side, these are the methods basically. So I'll just tell you the important methods which are there. First is the iMerge operation plugin. iMerge operation plugin is basically used for the merge operation if you want to control something in the merge. That like we just saw the Java program where we say that I want to merge the first record into the second record. So that flexibility you need from the IDD side, then you can use this iMerge operation plugin. The second is like iOpen operation plugin. iOpen operation plugin basically has all of them has mostly the same methods, which is after open, before open. So this is generally used iOperation plugin, like we had used in the previous project. Where why this is used in the IDD is basically, as we know, IDD cannot use a mapping. IDD can use only the cleanse functions. So suppose like if any user is going and trying to edit a record, so when he is editing a record, he should not edit the primary key. For example, customer ID column is my primary key. So if he is creating a record, he should be able to edit the record. He should be able to like insert a customer record. But when he is modifying any record, he should not modify the customer ID, because if he is modifying the customer ID, it will create a new record. So for that reason, we use this open handler where we say that if we are opening the record for update, then make the columns as read only. So we know that what are the columns which are used as a primary key. So we will mark all those columns as read only. So for that purpose, we generally use this iOpen operation plugin. Next is like iSave operation plugin. So these are the two main which are used, iOpen operation plugin and iSave operation plugin. So in the iSave operation plugin, we have these methods here. And these are like after everything, after save, before everything, and before save. So these are the 4 methods which we can use or write our code in these methods. So here, like, why do we want to use a save handler here is like one scenario is in case, like for example, you are trying to insert any record from the from the IDD side. So if you insert any record from IDD, it gets inserted. The PK source that is generated is a random number, because IDD cannot use a mapping, so it doesn't know. Like in MDM, at least we know that I am passing customer ID column as a primary key. But when it comes to IDD, it doesn't know what is the primary key column to be used. So if you have created an IDD application and inserted a record, you will see that it generates some 9 or 10 digit number. A random number is generated. So in those cases, usually like no one inserts any record from the IDD application, but in case there is some requirement that a data steward might insert a record, in that case we usually use this save handler where we say that while saving the record, I want the primary key PK source value from the UI if the data steward is inserting a customer ID value. So that value I want to get updated into the PK source object column. So for that, like we can use this save operation plugin The next is like I send for approval operation plugin. So send for approval, like these are not used now basically. I send for approval operation plugin. It was used in the previous version, like till 9.7.1 version, where a person can be a data steward, he can be a manager, and he can be a senior manager. So like I can be at all the levels. I can be a data steward, I can be a manager, and I can be a senior manager. So now also we can use it. It's not that we cannot use it, because in the previous version there was automatic task assignment. So if a data stewards create a record or update a record and send for approval, suppose I create a record or update a record and send for approval, it will go to the manager for review. So I am also a manager, so it might assign the records to me itself. So that we don't want, that the person who has created the record should not be assigned the record again. So in this case we can use this I send for operation plugin, where we can say that a user who has created the record should not be assigned the records automatically. In the new version also we can use it, in the 10 version, where we can, since I have not used it, but still we can use this in scenarios where now we know that the automatic task assignment never happens. In the new version, like from 10, it is like a common queue, and anyone can go pull the data from a common queue, means he can claim the data. So for that you can write some logic where you can say that if the person who has created the record or updated the record and sent for approval, and he is the same person who is trying to claim the record, then throw an error message that you cannot claim the record. That part can be coded in this one. And similarly, the fourth one is iTask operation plugin. So again, something related to task. If you want to do some manipulations to the task that you are creating, or you want to generate some automatic tasks, then we can use this iTask operation plugin. So in previously we used to write this code, like whenever, for example, the matching process, we have run the match process and we want the task to be assigned. So in that, MDM automatically generates the task, but in case we have something like priorities, that I want this person, because MDM will give like 25, for example, the default is 25, it will give only 25 tasks. If you set like 50, it will give 50 tasks to all the users. So if you want to customize that no, for one user I want like 100 records, for one person I want these many records to be given, all those things can be done in the iTask operation plugin. So these are the main like plugins which are there for the IDD. So at least you should remember the names, like I merge operation plugin, I open operation plugin, I save operation, I send for approval, and I task. These are the 5 main methods which are there for the IDD application. And then most of the time we are using this open operation plugin and the save operation plugin. Others are not used much. And the 2 scenarios that I told, that you can tell anyone, like on open operation plugin, why you have used it. You have used it because you want that whenever user goes and edit a record, the PK source object column for every base object should be read only. So for that reason you have used I open operation plugin, and the save operation plugin you have used in those scenarios where you say that whenever a user is inserting a new record, the PK source object column should get updated with the customer ID column, because whenever we insert a record from IDD, it gets generated, basically a random value gets generated. So for that reason you have written a user exit to update the values, because we can even use the, for example, like we can even use the import feature that we had seen, to import the record from an Excel sheet or a CSV file into the MDM. So in that case also we need this option, because again if we use the import feature, it IDD will again generate some random values in the picky source object. So that we don't want a random number, we want some specific values, because we are loading a parent, then we have to load the child data. So in the child we have to pass the parent PK source object. So if IDD generates the number, it will become difficult to identify the parent record and pass that parent value, and the consistency will not be there. So for that reason we will be using this iSave operation plugin. So these are the 5 main methods which are used here in this IDD user exit. And similarly, if we go back to the Java document, here we have this user exit SDK. So in the user exit SDK, again we can go to index and it will show us all the methods. So in the user exit, this is the hub user exit. So in case there is some customization required for the hub user exit, means when you are running the batch jobs, at that time you want some customization to be done. So that type of customization can be done in these methods, which starts from post landing. So probably you can say that there is no landing process. Yes, that's correct. There is no post landing process which is there in MDM. So they have provided this option as post landing user exit, which gets fired when you run the stage jobs. So the first is, it starts with post landing user exit. Then we have a pre-stage user exit, and then there is a post-stage user exit. So there are 3 user exits which gets fired when you run the stage job. So we have to write the code, like whatever changes you want to make, you will have to write under these methods, and you need to upload the jar file in MDM. Once we have uploaded the jar file, MDM will know that we have uploaded the jar file using these methods. So whenever we go and run the stage job, this method will be called explicitly, and whatever logic we have implemented will get fired. So from this point of view, you should be clear about like what are the methods which are there. Even if you say that you have not worked on the Java code, that is fine, but at least you should be aware of the methods, like what are the methods here, and how do you, once you get a jar file, how do you upload that jar file into the MDM and test it. So for the stage process, these are the 3 methods: post landing user exit, pre-stage and post-stage methods. For the load process, we have only one method, which is post-load user exit. And after the post-load, we have the match process. So for the match, we have 2 methods: pre-match user exit is there, and then the post-match user exit. And then after the match, we have the merge. So again, we have for the merge, we have only post-merge user exit. So pre is not there. So most of them are pre or post methods. So whatever pre and post methods you see, these are the methods. And similarly for the unmerge, you have a pre-unmerge user exit and then post-unmerge user exit. So this is the post-unmerge user exit. So these are the only methods which can be used for the IDD hub, for the MDM hub user exits, in case you need to do some customizations. So one thing, like for example, many places you will see that post match user exit is used. So why this is used like in scenarios is, like if you remember, like when you run the match process, for example, you are running a batch job where you are running match job, and then after that you are running the auto merge job. So once the match is done, it will put all the data, match data, into your match table, whether it is like auto merge or manual merge. And after that, when we run the auto merge job, it will pull all the records where auto merge indicator equals to 1, and it will merge all the records. And it will not touch those records where like auto merge indicator equals to 0. That is for manual consolidation. So now like this one we can use like in scenarios where we want a backup of the match table. We want to know because all the records with 1 will get merged. So I need as a reference, like I want to know like how many, which records MDM has matched, whether it is 1 or 0, so that I can use it for a reference purpose. In those cases, I can use this post match user exit, where I can write a code to take a backup of the match table once the match is complete. With a particular name you can give based on some timings, and it will create that backup table. And then once the backup is done, then only this post match user exit will get completed, and then the merge will run. So at a later point of time, we can go and check basically like which records MDM has matched is the final output that we can always see. So for that purpose, we can write this post match user exit, and others are like based on the requirements, or some in case like there are some Informatica bugs that we have. In those cases, we can write some user exits. So one scenario like I will tell like that I had done in 9.7.1 version of MDM. So we have discussed about the timeline feature. And so in the 9.7.1 version of MDM that was released, in that there were some issues with the timelines. So we had a product table where we were storing the timeline of the product, like on a yearly basis, that the product value will be this and this for a particular year. So initially, like when we loaded the data at that time, the customer was not clear, like for example, the product value. So input like product value. What will be the product? The product value will be applicable for what time period? So what they told is, as of now, I'm not sure about the product value. So what you say is put the product value, for example, 100, start date as 2015, and end date you can put like 2099. We have put like 2999 like this. So start date as 2015 and end date as 2999, because I don't know that this product value 100 will be applicable for how many years. So that we will come to know at a later point of time, and whenever I come to know, I will go and update it. So whatever product values, product records that we inserted using the same thing. We use the started as 2015 and ended as 2999. Later on, when the customer came to know that, okay, I want this product value like to be 100 from 2015 to like 2017. So he went to the IDD application or the MDM and he sent an update. So he reduced this end date from 2999 to 2017. So that was fine, but what was happening in the backend is MDM was creating one more record. It was putting like 2018, 2299. One extra record was getting created. So that was a bug basically for which we identified, and then we had raised a support ticket with Informatica. So initially they told that because this issue was from both the side, from the hub side also, hub user exit means hub side also, and from the IDD also. When we were end dating the dates, means changing the end date, it was having this issue. So that was identified, but initially they didn't give the fix for both IDD. They told that they will give it like 1 month time, but for the hub they told that they will be giving another 3 months time, and the customer wanted to test it because that was a critical thing. So for that, like, we had written this a user exit for the hub where we were identifying that. So IDD we didn't wrote because for IDD they had given a EBF, so we applied that, and then from IDD it was working fine, but from MDM they didn't give it immediately. They gave after a lot of time, 4-5 months. So for that we had written this user exit for the meantime, and when we got the hotfix later, we removed this custom code. So what we were doing is, in the staging job, when we are running the stage job, in the post stage job or the post stage exit, what we were doing is we were checking the PK source object. So for example, for this record I have a PK source. So PK is like, for example, P1 is my primary key. So in the post stage user exit, the staging table will have all the data. So what we were doing in post stage is we were comparing the staging table against the cross reference table to see if the PK source object in staging table and the PK source object in the cross reference table is matching or not. If they were matching, then we were checking the second thing is whether the end date is getting reduced or not, because this problem was only when we were reducing the date. If we were increasing the date, then there was no issue. So next we were checking whether the date is getting decreased or not. So if the date was getting decreased, we knew that there will be a problem and an extra row will get created here when we do the actual load process. So we had created a temporary table where we were putting the PK source object. So we were inserting the P1 value, which is my PK source object, and then the product value, which is 100, and then the start end date basically. So for example, like, I am making the end date as 2017. So we were storing like 2017. So we know that for this PK source object, the correct end date is 2017. So this was getting stored in a table, temporary table, when we run the stage job, and the code was written in the post stage user exit. So after the stage job, we used to run the load job. The load job was creating this extra record here, and once the extra record was created, the next, like, we were running the match job. So because unless this data is present here, we cannot delete it, and in the post stage, in the post load, unless the data is committed, we will not get the data in the table level. So we were allowing the load process to be done, and the load process was creating these extra records, and we have written this logic in the post match user exit. In the post match user exit, what we were doing is, based on this PK source object, we are chasing for this PK source object, if start date is greater than 2017, delete that particular record. So that was the logic which was implemented in the post match user exit. So that was a product bug because of which we had to write this user exit, and later on when we got that hotfix, we had removed this customized code. So that fix I think we got in hotfix 4 971 hotfix 4 we got the fix for this. So after applying that we had removed this custom code. So these are the things here. So you should be like aware of what are the methods, basically the user exits, and from starting from here all these post and pre methods are the ones which can be used. So these are like only customization required in case, and custom requirements are very less. It's not that you will be getting a lot of customer requirements. Custom requirements comes very less, and in case they comes, like usually like Java developers are there to whom we can give this, and they can write the code, give it to us as a jar file, and we will upload that into the MDM and test it. So, but we should be aware of the process, like what are the methods once we get a jar file, how what to do with that jar file, where do you upload that jar file, how do you test it, the functionality. So those things you should be aware of, and if you say that, that is also fine. At least you are aware of the things. So we will see this practically next week. So I will show you practically one hub user exit and one IDD user exit of the scenarios that we just discussed. And in the meantime, if you get time, just go through this project document is there, project and interview questions. As like next will be the last week, so just go through those two things, and after that is done, basically we'll have a gap of some 2-3 weeks where you can go through all the things that we have covered, and then we'll meet like after 2-3 weeks again, so that if any doubts we can clarify all those doubts. Okay, so we'll end today's session and we'll continue on 17th 6:30 IST time. Anyone have any questions regarding to this user exit or any other thing? Okay.
Hey, I have a
Yes.
question about the
Yes.
trust, not related user exit.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me.
Yeah, when we define the trust for any column, based on the decay period, will it change that score or how
Yes.
it
Yes.
will?
Yeah. Means see, you define the trust here on. Yes, so this is the place basically where you go and define the trust. So you will have this, like for example, CRM system and sales system. These are the two systems, and probably this you must be knowing how these systems names are coming. I have like three systems here: CRM, sales, and test. Three systems are present here. But for first name, I am seeing only two systems: CRM and sales. That is why, because I have created a staging table of CRM and a staging table of sales, and I have selected these columns. So you have to create the staging tables, plus you need to select the columns. You have name in both the staging tables, then only the source system name will appear here. So once it has come, you need to specify these details: the maximum value, minimum value, decay period, and these all are given by the business. Business will give us like what is the maximum value, minimum value, the decay period, which is based on the updates, how frequently the updates are happening in their system, and the graph type we usually select slow initial, rapid later. So this is for the record level, like whenever you load the data for the first time, the trust will, for example, if you are loading the data from the CRM system, the trust will be 80. And then based on the decay period and the graph type, the trust keeps on decreasing. So as you can see in the graph below, for the CRM system, which is the blue color, the trust, initial trust is like on 1116, it is 80. It keeps decreasing, and if we come down here, you can see in 2020 it will be 70. So the trust keeps decreasing, and at the end, after the 10-year period, it will go down to 20. So the trust automatically keeps decreasing. We don't have to do anything for that. Based on the time period, the value that we have given, maximum value, minimum value, decay period, and the graph type, MDM will keep decreasing it. And it's not that this value will get stored. Whatever we have defined here, that is not going to change. Only at runtime, when we are trying to merge the records or when we are trying to update the records, it will use these to calculate the current trust score. What is the current trust score? And based on that, it will try to merge the records or it will try to update the records. So this value, whatever you have defined, that is not going to change. Only at runtime, based on all these decay period, graph type, and the time period that has passed, based on that, it will calculate the final trust value, and based on that, it will process the records. Is it fine, or you have any questions?
Yes, I'm fine. So it will change for the from next minute. You have mentioned 10 years, right? So every year it will change, or it's
yeah, it is on a, yeah, if you are giving yearly basis, then it is on a yearly level. Yearly basis it will change.
Okay, it will calculate 10 years, and every year it will reduce the percentage.
Yeah, so like here we can see it is showing on 2016 it is like 80, and if you go to the next year, it will show, like here in the graph we will not be able to see properly because unless you go to a particular point, it doesn't show that. So in 2018 it is like 77. So because we have given yearly, it will reduce on a yearly basis.
Yeah, okay, got it, Vinay. Thanks.
And this we have to give even if we know that it is not going to change, but that is a mandatory thing that we have to give. For example, name, we know that name is not going to change, but still we have to give at some decay period. You can give more, like 20 years or 30 years, but something we have to give.
Okay, if we are not giving any minimum trust, so that maximum will be the um, final one, right? Always.
No, we have to define something. Either zero we have to define, but something we have to give. So minimum has to be there. Means minimum means if you give some value, that is good. Otherwise, it will be zero. So something we have to define here. We cannot leave it like empty.
In that case, we can give maximum as a minimum, right? So both are same, like 70,
Yeah.
70, 80, 80.
Yes, yes, correct. That also we can give. Means if you don't want any changes to be done, then we can give like both maximum and minimum to be same. So means we are saying that it will never decrease. Whatever value we have given for a particular source system, it will be fixed throughout the lifetime.
Okay. Okay, thanks, man.
Okay, thanks.
And Vinay, one more question. Like test update, what is that test update? Test offset date.
This is just to test from which date this graph basically. So graph like basically from which time period I want to check. So this is for that purpose. So this is not useful as such because here I am setting the offset date as like October 14, 2017. So it is showing for the sales system, it will show from 2017. So now it is
Okay.
showing that sales will start from 2017 only. Previously it was starting from 2016. Now it will start from 2017. So this is not useful.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, thanks, Vinay.
Yeah.
That's all.
Thanks. Yeah. Thanks everyone. Bye.